A very good morning to you and welcome to the Morning Breeze. It is the 13th day of this very month of December, the very last month that we are thinking about, that we're living in, that we're talking about in the year 2021. I hope that you are doing great. Many of you have begun to count down to Christmas. Today being 13th, yes, you can continue counting down how many days you're left with to Christmas. And this time it's going to be on a weekend. Is it good news for you? Is it sad news for you? Whatever it is, Christmas will still come. The festive season will come and go. And then before we know it, in January, we will start thinking about two things. Number one, and the very first thing that has a definite date will be the reopening of schools. And right after that, we will now start thinking about when the president is going to come and make that announcement that the economy is open again entirely. So many people are looking forward to a time that there will be no curfew, a time that there will be no, what else is there? Everything is open, bars, music shows, everything else is open. I know many are looking forward to that time, but there might be a catch. Do you realize that you will need to have your vaccination certificate somewhere, somehow, kept somewhere, because you never know. You may be barred from going to an office or going to a ministry, or I don't know. I'm not trying to say that's what ministries are going to do. I'm not trying to say that's what officers are going to do, but it might actually come to pass. So before you rejoice and say, oh yeah, the economy is open and I didn't take up my vaccination, think twice. Think twice, because you never know what could happen. But we want to thank you so much for coming through the weekend. I hope it was a lovely one, but whatever it was, if it was lovely, well and good. Let's keep the happiness, let's maintain it. If it wasn't good at all, I love to say sorrow only lasts for a night, but joy comes in the morning. So let's celebrate the lessons that we take out of the different aspects that we go through. So government, yes, will be announcing reopening dates this Wednesday, the day after tomorrow. It will particularly come through. Some was saying it's going to be 3rd. Others came through and said, no, there's going to be a week extra. So added 7 days to that and said it was going to be a 10th. 10th is actually a midweek or something like that. But the ministry will be announcing the exact dates that will be coming through on this Wednesday. So you can start planning and get to know just how much time you have left to plan for the children. But also, this particular day, today, there will be dispatch of polling materials to the different areas. There are quite a number of by-elections that are going on, but in Kayunga, particularly the LC5 by-election is slated for this particular Thursday. Remember, Fefe Kasirwogo unfortunately passed away mysteriously. A mysterious death that did happen, and the Electoral Commission has now organized the by-election, which is coming through this Thursday. So we expect National Unity Platform to come through. The president is expected to go to Kayunga. We expect the chairman of the National Resistance Movement, also the president of the Republic of Uganda, to come through and look for the votes in Kayunga. Which party will be taking up the day? Your guess could be as good as mine, but we'll keep you updated at the Political Command Center and give you all the details that are coming through. And ladies and gentlemen, while you're going for the by-elections, while you're going for your Christmas and everything that you're doing, remember, COVID-19 is still here. We have 60 new virus cases. I think this is one of the highest numbers in the last few months or days, and one death that was reported, and we are waiting to see that curve. Dalton and I last week were talking about an issue of updating the total doses administered. We're still waiting. We have stagnated at 7.6 million and we're still waiting. But as we continue talking about the statistics, I want to say a very good morning to you, Dalton. We are waiting, or so many people are waiting for January, because it comes with two major announcements. That's reopening of schools. Two major events. But also, apart from just the reopening, it comes with the reopening of the economy.
Very, very excited, especially among people that have suffered through. Now that I can say I've been part of, I've moved around up country, and you realize one thing, that the economy in Kampala is so closed more than anything else. I've looked at different parts of, when we interact with people, they tell you, fetukola. But even then, when the Central Business District is not really up, it's something that you don't celebrate about.
You know, someone said that everyone has suffered. How do you go back home like a hen, like a chicken? You're going back home at 7. It's interesting how people have to stay out late.
I don't know. And the first 2 weeks of Jan, the first month, actually, let's say next year, it will be chaotic.
I hope people don't lose themselves to the reopening itself.
But also the fact that people are maybe used at one point around March, we will not chase people out of town.
They will chase themselves.
Exactly. Because they are conditioned now for 2 years.
You say we will not chase people out of town.
Yes, they are conditioned. They are conditioned for 2 years to be limited to go somewhere.
Yes.
So what entrepreneurs have done is to establish small bars in the near estates.
By the way, so many bars, workshops,
yes,
different shops, you know, you've seen saloon, bridal parlors, everything is getting out of the town.
Exactly. And people that are putting up bars in town and within the central business district, those people are going to suffer. That business is not going to thrive at all.
Because we want to go and drink from next to home.
Next to home.
So right after you drive or stroll back to your house.
Exactly. Somebody is going to ask, but Bugolobi is a hub. He said, Bugolobi, yes, because Bugolobi is tapping people from the flats, people down Chiswa rather, people down, if you look, it's like people Mutungo, maybe slightly. But even those in Mutungo, Utabika would have their own joint and they will be very comfortable. They will not come. So business owners need to rethink their strategies. They need to rethink, especially those operating night economy. They need to rethink, otherwise they will land. Well, you're talking about opening of schools, Mildred.
And we're waiting for the exact date.
While we wait for the exact dates, there is something that we know, at least, that schools have given parents ultimatums. If you don't pay fees at this date, you forfeit your vacancy.
Well, some schools definitely. I'm looking at what government schools are doing. I know private schools will tell you pay full, and that is it. And I was listening to radio over the weekend, and it was interesting a discussion when parents were saying, if there is anything I have gotten tired of in the last 2 years, it is to pay school fees. Not because they don't want to pay school fees for their children, but because every time they would pay school fees, a few weeks later on, the schools are closed, and there is no discussion coming in from the schools on whether there's going to be a balance up or something like that. It's a totally new chapter.
Exactly. And what hurts most, Mildred, is that even that money is not given to the private teachers. It is the school owners that stay with the money. It's because private teachers, or rather teachers in private schools, have suffered without salaries. And yet, after a week, after 2 weeks when the parents had paid, my neighbor asked me, Doctor, should I pay or not? I told her, don't pay, wait to pay. Then she said, but the president has opened. Should I pay or not? I said, please don't pay, because I know where the train is going. She took the child back to school. 2 weeks later, they closed. She came crying, by money. But I thought, that is the issue. And I asked them, is there a conversation relating to recovering that money? No teacher, even if people that are on, I chanced on a school WhatsApp group, someone showed me, and parents were speaking about the refund. No one among the administrators was speaking.
And no one will. No one will, that's a reality. And we will pay school fees for the next term, and God willingly, if the term goes on well, that will be the recovery. That your child this time has gone to school, you've paid school fees, and they've managed to finish the term.
But parents happy that the children are going back to school?
It is a mixed
because they
mixed reaction. The parents are saying, we don't know whether we're supposed to be happy or not.
But do you know where they were pushing?
Yes.
Why some people sections open the schools, our children are getting pregnant. Aren't they happy?
But the children are getting pregnant from homes where we expected them to be most cared for and protected. But anyway, it's still a discussion. Uganda is one of those countries that has locked for a very long time, locked up schools for quite a very, very long period of time, and we've made news in the wrong way. But the president says this was to protect the learners and also be able to protect all the other people. Now, I want to say congratulations to the new ambassadors who've been posted to different areas. Those who have been retained, do we say congratulations? That's if you like the place that you've been retained.
You congratulate them.
We congratulate you upon your retention.
Because Phoebe Otala when Phoebe Otala wanted to participate in the elections of NRM, indeed she was campaigning. So according to the law, you're supposed to relinquish your office. They posted Haji Galuango, the former director of mobilization at the NRM Secretariat. She took the country to court. The president has reaffirmed Galuango as the ambassador in Nairobi. So what are you saying? If you're retained and you're happy, or rather you're retained, just be happy because you have a job. This gentleman called Alintu Mansambu went silent for 10 years. He's still in. Yes, he's still there. But I want to congratulate.
I think the other person who has stayed in the docket is Joy Ruth Acheng.
Yes.
Congratulations, Joy Ruth Acheng. I think she stayed at Ottawa for quite a long period of time. Yeah, right
Tiperu
there.
makes it to the ambassador. Nusra Tiperu makes it to the list.
Oh, yes, in Ankara.
Yes. And also Moses Chizige. Someone who sends you to Moscow. Moses Chizige.
What's wrong with Moscow?
Moscow, you know Chizige, remember Chizige, the former Mitiana LC5 boss, who lost to an NUP candidate, rather a person. Yeah, Moscow. When you speak about Moscow, I feel coldness all over me.
And Rebecca Otengo, Rebecca Muge Otengo, also now, was she in Addis before? But this is the second time.
Yes, she has been in Addis.
Second time she's keeping her position as an ambassador. I think we have quite some new faces that have come through as well. But congratulations, that's all we can be able to say.
Lieutenant General Charles Sangina, the first time is a deputy in Cairo, is one of...
Paula Maru goes to Pretoria.
South Africa, yes.
Yes, South Africa.
And Mildred, we maintained, for benefit of the view, we maintained two representatives in South Africa. One is based in Joburg and another in Pretoria. For best, there's a name that I'm interested in. Colonel Fred Message, you remember?
Oh yes,
of
yes,
yes.
Colonel Fred Message is in Dar es Salaam.
Yes, has also been sent to Dar.
Miss Robbie Kakonge to Washington D.C.
I don't know this Kakonge. Who is she?
I'll tell you who it is. But she used to work under the security ministry, and she used to speak the communications person under security ministry.
Oh.
Yes.
I don't recall her. So she must do a lot to impact on people like us, so that we know her.
Elton, let's get out of this. But I think I do remember she was very pivotal in speaking or communicating on behalf of the Ministry of Security, especially during the reign of General Tumukunde. Oh, yes. So anyway, congratulations. Those who love their areas of... But I want to believe, is there always a sort of consultation before the president posts you to wherever? Like you said, being posted to Moscow.
I think the president, they drew a list. There's someone I'm interested in. I don't know. Someone is asking me about Kinshasa. I look at Kinshasa.
Kinshasa is which one? Number
25.
I think number 25 years. Haji Farid Kalisa.
Okay.
Okay, congratulations to all the new presidents of Uganda in those different countries. They're presidents, right? Because they represent His Excellency.
Of course. And Betty Bigombe, by the way.
Yeah, Betty Bigombe, yes. I don't know how that skipped my mind, but Betty Bigombe went to Kuala Lumpur. Yeah.
It's a long
Malaysia.
time since we went to...
She'll be taking about how many hours? About... more than 10, 12 hours for travel.
An accomplished negotiator.
Very much so. Yeah, very, very much so. I think I remember Kuala Lumpur for one thing, the heat waves. Very, very hot a country it is. But anyway, talking about, now that I talked about heat waves and still talking about aspects of what the weather can be able to do, dozens have been injured or killed rather in different United States, US states, United States states. Is that what we would be able to say? But on a very serious note, these are some of the effects we face out of climate change.
And this, I think, I saw, was it last year or the other year when there was a conference on climate change?
We just had the COP, you know.
Away from the COP that we had recently. And I'm alluding to the message I saw the young children put out there. The young children stood up and said that people that are speaking about climate change do not care about it because probably 50 years to come, they will not be anywhere here. Or 60 years to come. The same conversation that I saw, that they go in conferences, and speak about climate change and protection of the environment, but at the end of the day, none of them enforces some of the major decisions of even the protocols they're signing here and about. In their own countries, there's still development of nuclear that is not even environment friendly. In their own countries, they still talk about establishment of industries and deforestation. You get, Mildred? Someone tells you that we need to cut this forest in order to create jobs.
That we are not monkeys.
Exactly.
Like some minister said right here in Uganda.
And the conversation is, this is the direction that we're taking. I remember recently, Mildred, you know, I was coming from up country and someone was looking at trees. Then I remembered that most Ugandans have gone into business of trees. There's a story of South Africa where the population said, let's cut trees because we no longer have water.
And as if having a dry land would actually be able to provide water.
Yes, they argued that they planted these trees that consume a lot of water and they denied, I think it's part of Johannesburg, and denied them water, and they are suffering. I don't know what, but people are discussing climate change. They do not have the will to enforce many of the regulations in their own country.
Yeah, I know that in South Africa there is a lot of water scarcity, even for areas that are right next to the sea. Even when you look at areas like Cape Town, yes, you're looking at a huge water body, but there is a lot of attention to saving water while you're using it. Even while you just have to brush your teeth. In a hotel room, you will have the signpost, you need to save. You need to close your tap while you're brushing, not the Ugandan way of you leave the tap flowing and until you get to finish up with your business. But these are great reminders for us to pay attention to the environment.
Yes. That
it can strike back at any point in time, and we need it more than it needs us. That's just definitely it. But we'll be talking about aspects of the poultry ban and how it's biting on many of the farmers right here in Uganda much later on, and just how much they've been affected. For some of the consumers, we get excited because the prices then drop, because you've been buying a tray at maybe 12,000 or so, and when it drops down to about 7,000 or 8,000, it is your joy. But there is someone out there who has invested money and they've lost and they're crying out. So we'll be getting deeper into that story at a later stage. But I think now it's just a few days to have medical interns out of the hospitals, and they're not just going out, they will also be able to seek for their last rotation and how they're going to be registered by the Ministry of Health, because according to a letter that was dated about 3 days back, those who are striking vacate, we will have the pre-interns come and take over your place. But for me, I think this is the highest level of bullying, for lack of a better word, that can ever exist. Because if you're coming out to communicate right now as a ministry that yes, Parliament passed the bill, the monies, and the Ministry of Finance hasn't been able to send this money through, and when they send it, we will pay, but we don't expect you back. I think this is the highest level of bullying that we have ever existed. It reminds me of a time when was it teachers who were striking and they were told to go and rear goats. I think this is poor if we call ourselves a country that is democratic and a country that is able or ready to negotiate out matters.
Who signed that letter?
Dr. Henry G. Mwebesa, the Director General Health Services. I don't want to believe that he believes in the letter that he signed up.
But why do you sign in something you don't believe in?
Sometimes with the work that you have to append the signature, come what may.
Because interestingly, all these administrators have gone through, because historically, since 1986, these medics have gone to strike over their pay. I'm not so sure about pre-1986. I can't be conclusive. But I also think somehow the pay in Uganda has not been so good. So maybe pre-1986 they also went to strike. But yes, I want to say that this is high-handedness in form of handling the issues that are at stake. And it is going to be a shame at the end of the day when you recall these guys and say, look here, we need to negotiate, you can talk. Yet you've already issued an ultimatum. Yes, definitely some will cow and maybe they don't leave the premises as demanded and do what you want. But definitely, you see one thing, Mildred, there's what we call unemployment, where people do not have real jobs, yes? Then there was what we call disguised employment. You see? People are doing jobs they're not meant to be, but they are doing a job to earn a living.
To earn a living,
you see?
yeah, to make
they have been trained. Now, government has spent five money on an individual for 5 years to train them. You get it? Then you have to put away these people because they have asked you for some emolument that you aren't willing to give them at this particular time. Not that
But you
really
discussed and agreed upon,
Yes.
and the president particularly maintained, and you failed to communicate, and now you're bullying them.
So exactly. So you stand more to lose than them for a reason. You have spent 5 years educating these people, skilling them. I remember Dr. Wanuka, when Dr. Bedi Wanuka, when he was contesting, I think in 2006, he said that he's not looking for a job. That was his statement. I've never forgotten that statement. He said, as a medical doctor, throw me in a place I do not understand the language, I'll still treat the people there and make money. And it makes a lot of sense. All someone needs is to gesture that my neck is hurting, and the doctor will say, okay.
So the doctor can be able to take measurements or
Exactly.
of body parts and your temperature, your weight, your blood pressure, and they know.
So in such professions, even when we do not want blackmail, but at least we must find a middle ground.
Yes.
In order for both people to live. Because as I'm a
on
taxpayer.
both sides, and that middle ground, Dalton, is from both sides, because the doctors are saying, look here, whereas we're on strike, we have maintained that emergency services will be paid attention to. That means they respect their Hippocratic oath, which they're always reminded of each and every time they're striking. And then on the other hand, you're holding them at ransom by saying they need to find a way how they conclude their internship. Really, at such a point in time, I would rather not have a doctor and know that probably I have to pay for one to come and do the treatment if it's not an emergency service, than have a doctor who is disillusioned and they're just seated at the hospital just because they need to be there.
And that is exactly what is going to happen, that they will be at the hospital, but they would have withdrawn their labor.
And let me tell you, these intern doctors cover up the most, Dalton.
Because
they
specialists are
cover
not
up
there.
the most.
The specialists are running around
Yes.
different hospitals making money. Because you go to a hospital and they say, orthopedic on appointment, so and so on appointment. That tells you, if you go to these private hospitals and that's what you see, gynecologist on appointment, that means these people are rotating around these hospitals. And therefore, those that are covering up at the intern, you need them.
Optician Tuesday, gynecologist Wednesday and Friday.
Exactly.
You keep having those schedules.
Yes. So I would really beseech the stakeholders, especially government, that you can retalk to the leadership of the medical profession and find a middle ground.
But even the medical association in itself, not just the intern doctors, are on strike. So why are you choosing? Why are you cherry picking and choosing out on saying, intern doctors, we are going to fire you, leave your premises in 1 week, but then you are not talking about the other doctors who are striking, the other medics who are striking. That is cherry picking.
It's very unfortunate, to say the least. But I hope that something is done. Something is done. It's not about. You see, among our people, they say that if you push hard, someone most likely going to cause bleeding, and this is what the government will bleed. Ugandans are the worst hit, as in the videos, because they will not access this medical attention. Some other people, especially those that don't belong to the bottom million, can access medical facilities elsewhere. But us who have nones, the haves can go somewhere. Us the have-nots need these people out there, such that they look after us and perhaps our parents.
It's not a good one that is coming in from the Ministry of Health, and I hope that this decision is one that can be rescinded, whether with the presidential intervention or not, because many at times we always wait up to get to State House or Plot 1 and get to citizen number 1 and say, okay, the president has relooked through this. I hope this is something that we can be able to look through again. But anyway, this is a discussion that will continue with at a later stage as we also talk agriculture and continue to take you across the world. You're still watching The Morning Breeze. Let's take a break. Dalton and I will be back at a later stage.
Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Are you looking to find the job interview of your lifetime? The one that kickstarts, progresses, or restarts your career? For absolutely no cost, you can now visit the Now Post every Wednesday and voila! Lots of job opportunities from various sectors, all for you to choose from. Yes, get that CV and cover letter updated and simply wait for the fresh opportunities every Wednesday. Wednesday is no longer just Wednesday for all of us at the Now Post. It's Job Wednesday. Updated every Wednesday, available every day of the week. The Now Post. Accurate news fast.
Mu biseera by'eggandaalo lino Sanyuka TV egenda kufuula Christmas yo ey'enjawulo n'akazannyo kaffe Sanyuka ku Ssekukkulu. Ky'olina okukola kyangu nnyo, laba bulabi Sanyuka TV okubamu emu ku show zaffe nga Morning Express, Music Taxi, Big Deal oba Uncut. Ddamu ekibuuzo ekikubuuzibwa ku Sanyuka TV oba ku biki ebibadde biragibwa ku Sanyuka TV, awo weewangulira ebirabo gaggadde. Kati nno weekuumire ku Sanyuka TV mu ggandaalo lino owangule. Sanyuka ku Ssekukkulu. Amateeka n'obukwakulizo bigobererwa.
Football is always for the fan. The fan who proudly waves his club's colors. The one who is always looking forward to the next game day. Who is into tactics, skills, and the thrill of winning.
Beautiful ball in an express. Glorious.
Football is not only a feeling, it's a lifestyle.
Twalo amakongolo Arwasil FC.
Vipers for life.
Shabani on fire, Onuparako on fire.
Kasis FC, the Catastro Boys.
Catch all the action of the Star Times Uganda Premier League only on Sanyuka TV. Star Times Channel 222 and Satellite 403. The Star Times Uganda Premier League. Let's raise our flag. Brought to you by Pilsner Lager, the official beer.
In association with
Rubies, making your life's journey better.